Hey everybody, how's it going? My name's Joe. Welcome to episode something something recap number 44. Today we're talking about Nigel Mansell's Championship Racing, Super Off-Road the Baja, Super James Pond, First Samurai, and Super Slam Dunk. So let's get this nonsense started. First up, we got Nigel Mansell's World Championship Racing. This is another Formula One simulation racing game. Now, we've not had any luck with these in the past. They've all just been kind of not particularly interesting. Nigel Mansell's is only marginally better, as I realize that the titles of my screen are still wrong, so we're just going to turn those off because that's going to bother the out of me and I'm not fixing it yet. Nigel Mansell's wasn't awful, but it still wasn't amazing. So the graphics, you can see it's a driver's seat cockpit racer. The sprite and color work and pixel art and everything are pretty decent. It definitely exudes that sense of speed that you want from a racing game. You don't have fuel to keep track of, and you can set it to automatic or manual transmission. The thing that this game has, and the thing that it really goes after you on, is tire wear. So you can see over on the right side, under the speedometer, it had like 4 tires. That's me winning first place pole position there, so that's very cool. It's definitely it's better than a number of the other games we've played, but it still wasn't great. Like, if you like Formula One racing, that's awesome. This game is probably worth playing, but I didn't particularly care for it. It just wasn't good enough. Like, the art and graphics were fine. The sound was okay. No music, of course, because so many sports games screw that one up. And the game controlled well. It just wasn't particularly fun. If I play a racing game, I want it to be more of an arcade style racing game generally. So, it is what it is. Speaking of arcade style racing game, boom, here you go. Super Off-Road the Baja. Now, this is an interesting one. It definitely... They were definitely trying to go into the polygonal, semi-three-dimensional, textured, look. And they achieved that, I think. And the game functioned well enough. It didn't slow down very much. Everything looked okay for what it was. Is it ugly as sin? Absolutely. But all the early polygonal type stuff was. So the graphics were okay. The sound and music were okay. The controls, though, were really, really loose on this one. Like, it was super duper easy to oversteer, and when they styled this game as like off road, they meant it. Like, it's all hills, jumps, bounce, boom, spots. Everything you touch like knocks your car to the left or right. And there are like money and nitro pickups, and you can upgrade your car between races, and that's great. But also, there's random people in the middle of the desert walking across this road, and when you hit them, it's like you hit somebody minus $5,000, you hit somebody minus $10,000. You're just like, how are you supposed to, like, these dudes on ATVs that are driving on the same road as you? I just passed a couple. If you hit those dudes, it's like minus $3,000, and it's like you can't earn enough money to upgrade your car to do well enough. And the controls just were not great. I didn't care for it, unfortunately, and I had hopes. And you know what, this game might survive better as a 2-player game. I know me and Joey really enjoyed Super Off-Road as a 2-player game, but that was, of course, top-down racer, and you bounce all over the place on that one. But it almost felt more like driving remote control cars than trying to like actually drive a car. So I don't know. I could definitely see what they were trying to do with this, and it was okay, but it's still thumbs down for me. So Super Off-Road the Baja, unfortunately, no good. Next up was Super James Pond, which I love the pun, James Pond, and you're a secret agent fish thing. Unfortunately, it is an awful, awful platformer. You can see right here how... look at the background. What the fuck is that? It's just teddy bears and teddy bear heads, and you're jumping across cotton balls. And the game was colorful. Don't get me wrong, um, but you have no weapons. You can jump on things to hurt them. Your dude does this little fishy dance the whole time, and the music was super irritating, and the graphics were grating on the eyes, and the gameplay was not great. Like, it was super floaty jumps, so it was real easy to miss what you were aiming for, and you like slid when you finished running, and no weapon. At least not. I think I got like 4 stages in, and it wasn't good, unfortunately. And I had really hoped it would be, because the previous 2 games weren't great. I was like, come on, give me one good game, and it just couldn't pull it out. So Super James Pond is a definite thumbs down. That's 3 in a row. Can we do 4? You bet your ass we probably can, if I click the right damn thing. First Samurai. This game had promise. I wanted to like this game a lot right from the beginning. So the graphics, with the color and the sprite work, are good. The art style is fine. I'm totally down with that. The music was actually pretty decent, and the sound was okay. And I enjoyed, the controls are a little blocky. You can move a bit during your jump, but kind of once you jump, you're dedicated to it. And then you only have like a high swing, and if you lean down, you get a low swing. So there's not a lot of range of motion for your character. But that's okay. You get these sub-weapons a la Castlevania. You can see right there I'm throwing axes. So, I mean, the controls seemed a little chunky, but they were totally serviceable. And I was actually enjoying this game until I got to the first stage boss. Because at the first stage boss, which I think you're going to see here in a little bit, well, maybe I get to him in this video. The first stage boss was insane. It's these 2 dragons flying around the screen. They don't really give you a hint on what you're supposed to do other than hit them in the head. And I must have hit them in the head a million times, and I could never kill God one of them. I finally ended up looking up a strategy. Or no, I'm sorry. I looked up a cheat code, a level skip cheat code, and I skipped them and got to level 2. And level 2 was just as awful. It was this long train that you're running down because you're apparently a time-traveling samurai. And when you get to the end of the train, you have to collect these like 5 things along the way for the train to actually open. And you get to the boss, and he's another one of these things. It's just this like skeleton dude that you can't seemingly do anything to. And then I read a strategy wiki, and it's basically like, oh, well, you just hold down and swing like crazy, and the dude will just kind of walk into you and not hit you, and he'll die eventually. I'm like, what horrid design choice is this? And then I was reading that same wiki, and it's like, oh, that first boss with the double dragons, you just have to stand directly in the middle of the screen and just swing like crazy, and apparently they'll just fly over you and get hit in the head, and occasionally you have to dodge fireball, but they're like, that's how you beat it. And I'm like, I mean, I guess that's simple, but it just didn't make any sense. Like, there's nothing that's, it bothered me severely. If I choose to want to like jump and attack you, I should be able to kill you that way, not hit you a million times and you not die. It was a little ridiculous, the difficulty spike on the boss. Unless you were apparently willing just to stand still and cheese out of it, which kind of bothered me. Otherwise, the game looked and played fine. It's just the bosses were super duper duper irritating. I ended up giving this a thumbs down just because of that. Like, I was severely irritated at the end of this play and was not willing to forgive it that particular thing. I just couldn't do it. So, thumbs down for First Samurai, even though I really wanted to. Hey, speaking of the dragons, here I am at the dragons. Oh, no, I'm not. I don't have the 5 sigils. I need to find the other sigils somewhere in the level because, yeah, like I said, you have to find these 5 keys in the level for him to open them. Thumbs down. Thumbs down for Samurai. Next up is Super Slam Dunk, endorsed by Magic Johnson. A basketball game. Yeah. The music in the menus was good. The The pixel art and the sprite worked. The graphics weren't awful by any stretch. My big, I had two big issues with this game. The first is that right there. You saw it as I came in. As you pass the ball around, the court spins. And after 10 minutes of back and forth like that, it just kind of makes you nauseous. They do have people in the background watching. There's some cheerleaders off to the side. The court looks fine. The ball's identifiable. It's 5-on-5 basketball, which means there's a lot of movement on the screen. I did not experience a lot of slowdown. What I did experience was a lot of getting stuck. On your own dudes and the opponents, they'd kind of bunch up and you'd hit them, and it was just hard to move down the lane. Also, the other thing that really, really irritated me was I spent the first half hour playing this game. Couldn't find a manual for it. But your shoot button, which in every other game is your shoot button, the longer you hold it, the longer you hold the ball, but supposedly the more accurate the ball goes into the hoop. And that worked that way in this one. But also in most games, when you got near the hoop, if nothing was there and you were open and you press the shoot button, your dude usually does a slam dunk, which is far more likely to be guaranteed a 2-point. All I was doing was layups, and half of them were missing. And so the first game I played, I don't know if this is the first or second game here in the video, but the first game I played, I got crushed like 60-20 or something. And then a little bit into my second game, I realized that it's an entirely different button. Like you can get up to the hoop, and it's a different button from your shoot and pass button to do a slam dunk. And as soon as I figured that out, suddenly I caught up to him and won a game. It's just like, and I'm sure if I'd found the manual, that wouldn't have been an issue, but I couldn't find the manual. So it was an issue, and it irritated the shit out of me. But once that was solved, it was serviceable. It was a playable game. Would probably have been a lot more fun with the second player as opposed to the computer. But in the end, I just didn't like it. I mean, the real problem is this is going to get... I mean, every basketball game ever is going to get compared to NBA Jam. And because I'm not a sports guy, I don't care about 5-on-5 basketball versus the 2-on-2 NBA Jam arcade-style basketball. I would rather play that. It's more entertaining. It's faster. It's funner. Your court's just left to right instead of spinning this stupid thing around because they can do that with Mode 7. The game was fine. It was serviceable. If you want to play a 5-on-5 basketball game, I think the last one we played was Super Tecmo NBA basketball or something, and that was a fine game. It played well. We enjoyed that. I would play that over this, but if you run across this for a couple bucks and you don't have Tecmo NBA basketball, this one is okay enough to play. I gave it a thumbs down. I'm giving it a thumbs down because it's a functional basketball game. That's what I got for you. But that's it. So 5 games and 5 thumbs down, which sucks. Hopefully, the next set of games for week 45 is better. Plus, Joey should be coming home from college somewhere in that set of 5. So I'll have my second player back for a while at some point. But that's it. Thanks, everybody, for watching this quick review of the last 5 games played. And unfortunately, they weren't great. So it is what it is. Thank you very much. Have a good day, y'all.